So where do you want to be?
That's a good question.
I mean, where do you want to be, or what do you want to be, or,
I think that's the question of life. Where do you want to be tomorrow?
or next week, or next month, or next year, or in 5 years.
Yeah, tomorrow just as a thing, as a future of where do you want to be in the future, right? What are you working towards?
Yeah.
What are you heading towards?
Working towards?
Working towards.
That might be a key.
Yeah.
So what are you working? Where do you want to be next week?
Next week, I want to be a little bit better than I was today.
Yeah.
And so I feel that the goal that I always have is something that we share, and kind of what we share with all of you here on the channel is the process of being able to be self-sustaining and creating a community, an environment where we can share our values and we can share the things that we've learned in the life that we've had so far.
So is that where you want to be? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I want to be in a place where I can help other people and where I can share the knowledge that you so graciously passed down and that I've learned from other people over the years, that it feels that in this society that we live in is very lacking, where I feel that a lot of people don't know what they want to do and they don't know where they want to be in life.
Or how to get there.
Or how to get there.
I think a lot of people have visions. There's that word we used last week, but they have visions of what they want to do or what they want to be, but they don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the visions are falsely implanted.
Yeah.
Because of influences.
Yeah.
TV, videos, YouTube people.
Right. I mean,
Right.
I went through the same thing, and I think we all did. Right. And I think if you ask yourself right now, you go, what do I want? Most of the time, the first things that come to the mind is money, power, wealth, some form of success, right? Having lots of friends, having all of these things. And why does this is the first thing that comes to my mind? Because we're under the belief that once we have these things, our mental status will change, or we will become happy.
Right. I think that's the underlying thing. That I think this false belief that since before you were born, running around in your mother's womb, you were told your whole life you've been told this by every advertisement, by every commercial, by your parents, by your teachers, by everybody. You've been told that if you go do something, and in my era, it was do doctoring or do lawyering or do something where you made lots of money. Mm-hmm. So if you did something, if you do this, you will have usually money, wealth, power, fame, right? And if you have those things, you will be happy.
Yeah.
So the formula then we've been taught our whole lives is do something, have stuff, be happy. And it's funny because if you think about every commercial you've ever seen or every advertisement you've ever seen, toilet paper. You look at an advertisement for toilet paper and all the people in that advertisement are so beautiful and so happy because they're using that toilet paper. And if you use that toilet paper, by Jove, you're going to be happy and be just like all those people too.
Yeah.
And it could be peanut butter, it could be a new car, it could be whatever it is. And that formula is there for one reason, to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Because we are a marketing economy. Mm-hmm. So you have to separate yourself from that to begin with, because the formula is not do something, have stuff, be happy.
Right.
Because here's what happens. And you know this.
Yeah.
Because you have some friends that in your circle now that are fairly wealthy, that have everything that they could probably want. Mm-hmm. So they have done something, they have stuff, live in the highest mansions, the highest apartments in New York or wherever, right? They have cars here and there and everywhere. They have multiple girlfriends. They can go anywhere they want. They can fly anywhere they want. And now they're happy, right?
No. They're even more trapped than when they first started.
More miserable.
More miserable.
Right. And why do you think that is?
Because you're not fulfilled. You don't have a vision or goal. You're not working towards something. You're not growing.
You're not being.
You're not being.
Right. So the question then becomes, it's not go do something, have stuff, and be somebody or be happy.
Right.
You got to turn it around, and you got to understand that you have to be who you are first.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
That's a great question. And it's probably one of the most difficult things there is in life to do. So that's how we started, right? Who do you want to be?
Yeah.
So you have to figure that out. And I think that for a lot of people, that comes way too late in life.
Yeah.
Because you're told all your life by everybody from your parents to your high school counselors to your best friends to your college advisors, oh, you need to do this.
You got to go to school. You have to go college. You have to get an education. You have to go to here. You have to be this. You have to do that. You have to earn this much. You have to be able to do this.
You have to live here.
You have to live here and
You have
do
to use
these
this
things.
toilet paper.
You have to use this toilet paper all the time.
Right.
And the problem with that is it instills a sense of fear in us because
Yes.
you have to make money or else you'll be like this person or you will be a failure.
Plus, not only that, but you will, what's the word? You'll disappoint your circle.
Yeah.
Whether that's your parents, your teachers, or your friends, or whatever. You'll disappoint those people. So the thing is we're all individualists.
Yeah.
And we have to be individualists.
Yeah.
We have to do things that are ourselves.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out early on, I think, what makes you happy.
Yeah. What makes you you?
And when you are doing something that is correct for you, then it's not like work anymore. It's not it's not hard. Well, I'm not going to say that. It can be hard.
Yeah.
It can be hard.
It can be challenging.
In fact, it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, let's talk about that for a second. So, one of the things I think you have to have is accountability and responsibility.
Yeah, man, I've heard those words a lot from you.
Because I told you from the time you
Could walk
that you can do whatever you want, but there are consequences for your actions.
Yes.
So as long as you understand, and so my job was to make sure you understood what the consequences were for whatever action you took.
Yeah.
You can do that, but if you do that, there's going to be consequences. And those consequences, it's a parent's job to make sure those consequences are carried through.
Yeah.
So that you understand that you have a responsibility for being accountable. So once you understand you got to be accountable to yourself and you're responsible to yourself, then you're well on your way.
Yes.
So a simple way to be accountable is to form disciplines
Yes.
for yourself. Because your attitude and your environment help define your path.
Absolutely, because kind of what we come back to, we become what surrounds us, right? We are impressionable beings. So we become what we're told, or we become what's thrown at us. We become our friends. We become our environment.
Yes.
And so if we want to change as individuals, we need to change our circumstances or our environment.
Ah, boy, you ought to say that again for the people in the slow people in the back that aren't paying attention. Wake up! Say that again.
If you want to change who you are as an individual, you need to change your environment and the influences that you receive. Because I'm sure everyone's heard the saying, you are what you eat. But it's more than just food. It's everything.
Yep.
You are what you watch. You are your friends. You are your environment. You are everything. Everything that comes at you is something that you take in and now it becomes a part of you. So if you live in a very unclean environment, if your room's always dirty, your mind will be messy, right? If you live around, if all of your friends don't really do much, or let's say your group of people don't work hard, or they're negative, or you have negative qualities,
bad habits,
those qualities will come back onto you. And so when you change and you want to make a change because you want to grow or you want to be somewhere, if, for example, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be able to do these things, you're not going to be an astronaut playing video games all the time. You're going to be an astronaut by learning, by doing the things that need to happen.
Read every book you can find about astronauts.
Right. Read all. And so you need to be able to find similar like-minded people. And you need to be able to create the environment that allows you to do these things.
Yes.
And I think that's the first thing that needs to happen when you're trying to learn who you are or what you want to be is you need to create an environment that's conductive for that type of lifestyle and for that path.
So let's take an example. You are a YouTuber, sort of. I mean, that's your title, but that's not what you do.
Yeah.
That's not who you are. That's not what you're being.
No.
Right now you're being, how would you define that?
Man, that's a good question.
I know the answer.
Well,
and you know the answer too.
I don't know.
But I'm putting you on the spot.
I know. I want to know what.
You're an entertainer.
Okay.
You entertain.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily my being. That's the role that I'm playing right now.
Right. But by doing that, not only are you entertaining, you're teaching. You're teaching because for years, literally for years, you have been very conscious of your role as a leader in a group of people. And most of the people are younger because your audience is younger. But so you have achieved a level of success that many wish to achieve. So let's go back. Let's step back and go, okay, how did you get to that? What did you have to do to get to that, and how does that relate to what we're talking about?
Right. A lot had to happen in order to get to the place that I'm at now. But from an early age, when I was 10 years old even, I wanted to do this. It's something that I wanted to start working towards. And so first I started the process of working towards my goal. So I started just learning about it, observing it, creating YouTube videos, so on and so forth.
Even we have videos you made when you were a little kid
guy
doing all kinds of stuff.
And then from there, I started making colleagues and friends that also wanted to do that.
But even before you did that, you said, I remember you told me, I want to learn how to do stick figures,
animations. Yeah.
So we got you a little free program, and you learned how to do that on your own. I didn't teach you that. You were homeschooled, but I didn't teach you that. And then from there you go, well, I want to get better at this. I like this. I want to get better at this. And so you did. And then you started reaching out. By the time you were 14 or 15, you were reaching out to people that you looked up to.
Yeah.
And you just reached out to them, had no idea what would happen. And offered to send your stuff to them for free. Say, look, I'd like to just I'd like to do this for you. And that you did that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then before somebody finally said, hey, I'll pay you to do these things if you do these for me.
Right.
And it was like, wow. And then you started working with people and learning. And so how much time do you think you've invested, even from when you were like 14 or 15, how many hours a day do you think you put towards getting to this goal?
If you averaged it all out, probably 5 to 8 hours a day, every day.
7 days.
7 days a week.
7 days. And how much have you veered off that path? You're 25 now, right? So 11 years. 11 years. How many times do you think you veered off that path and gotten off on it, a substantial amount to where you went somewhere else?
I feel a lot. A lot of times I would go off and then had to kind of correct myself in a way where I was maybe losing sight of what I wanted to do or fell into the wrong crowd or so on and so forth. So I think there was a lot of times that happened, but I feel that I've always was able to bring myself back to that because I knew in my heart that's where I wanted to be.
So what do you mean when you bring yourself back? What does that take?
Discipline.
Discipline. So if somebody's saying, oh, how do I get discipline? What would be some ways you could start with discipline?
I think discipline begins with early things. I love this expression or saying, because people want to do things, but everyone says, I don't have motivation to do something, right? Oh, I would love to do this, but I just don't have the motivation to do it. And motivation and discipline are a very interesting thing because discipline brings motivation. And motivation as a whole is kind of like a piggy bank, let's say. And so in order to have motivation, you have to put things into it. So for example, let's say you have a lot of things that you need to do and you are just not motivated to do that. Well, every time you don't do something, you take motivation away from it. But let's say you clean your room, at just random numbers. Let's say you clean your room and you've done something difficult that you didn't want to do. You now put in 2 motivation into the piggy bank. Now you get up and you Do all the chores you need to do. You mow the lawn, clean the dishes, all of this. Everything's clean. You've done all the stuff. All right, there's 5 motivation. And as you build upon this and using discipline to do the things you don't want to do, but you know you need to do, by forcing yourself in a way of saying, I'm going to do this because I need to do this, whether I want to or not, because it's going to work towards my goals, you begin to build up this piggy bank of motivation. And eventually, you just have a piggy bank that's so full of motivation because you've worked on it and you've put into it that the most difficult task you can just do it.
Power through it.
Power through it.
Yeah, and there's a reverse to that too. Because if you don't do those things, if you get up in the morning and let's say you don't make your bed, and I'm not talking just to kids, I'm talking to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm talking to everybody. But we can think of one person right now who's struggling to some extent because they don't know where they want to be. And this is a grown man. It doesn't know where they want to be. It's struggling mightily, struggling. But we notice things like that.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't make your bed, or if you don't get up even, getting up.
Yeah, wake up at a good time. Wake up with the sun.
Yeah, because if you get up, then you find yourself with nothing to do, then find something to do that's productive for you, that helps you. If it's nothing else, get on the internet and read something about something that's interesting, or learning, or history, or anything that moves you towards where you want to go.
Yeah, even if it's baby steps. Because I think as long as you're making some movements to go forward, it will happen.
Yes.
But I think if you're trying to avoid that and you're trying to hide from things, such as entertainment of watching TV shows or playing video games or doing things that's not conductive, but in fact quite destructive, will take you in the opposite direction and will take motivation away from you, and will make things harder and harder and harder.
Yeah. And the thing is I can tell you, I'm 68, I'll be 69 this year. Woo! Time goes by really, really fast.
Yeah.
You know, and I have many regrets of the things I didn't do. Many, many, many more regrets than I have I'm proud of the things I have done. And I think I've done a lot.
You've done a lot.
But I have so many regrets that I wish I had done. And I think about all the things that I did do that were just worthless.
Yeah.
Worthless. So it's very important, I think, to take charge of what you want. And so last week we talked about 3 things. We talked about a vision, having a vision.
Yeah.
And I thought about this all week, and I was thinking that, maybe we started too broad, maybe.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring it back a little bit to say that, vision is very important, but visions are hard to do unless you have a grip on your mind so that you know, oh man, that's what I want. And it's inside of you and not external, right? Somebody hasn't said, oh, you need to be a psychologist, or, it's what you feel.
Yeah.
Because if you talk to people like Elon Musk, for instance, I like watching Elon Musk because Elon is obviously 1% visionary, right? I watch people like that, and I read about people like that, and I listen to what they say because they're there.
Yeah.
Right? And he absolutely talks about how when you are in a groove and you are just doing it, then nothing else matters. And all of the trials and tribulations that will come at you, which have to, by the way.
Yes.
If it comes too easy, it's not worth having.
Yeah.
You have to fight to get things. That makes you strong, and makes you want it even more. It makes it worth it.
Yeah.
And so you've got to understand that things are going to be difficult.
Yeah.
That's what life is. Life is a challenge so that you build and grow.
Yeah.
So I like to watch these people to see what challenges they've overcome and how they think about it. And Elon, I was watching him the other day going, it's not like work to me. He goes, I've got my day set out. I work on Starlink in the morning. I work on SpaceX. I work at night on Twitter. X or whatever you want to call it. And so he knows where he wants to go, and look where he is at a fairly young age. So we have to do that too.
Right, but how do you get to that, right?
So you start by making your bed in the morning.
You do.
You start by keeping a little journal. Here's a story for you. Maybe getting close to finish on this, but the first time when I bought the farm, the horse farm, we'd never had a horse farm. So we bought a horse farm. It wasn't a horse farm when we bought it, but we bought this little 10-acre place, and we had the vision, your mom and I, had a vision of creating a horse farm. And we were doing that as a pilot project because we wanted to move out to Colorado and do this on a big scale.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, my dream was to go out back to Colorado, because I met Shelley, of course, in Colorado, and I wanted to go back out to Colorado, get a big place, and we could do a team building, coaching kind of thing where we used horses in the summer, and then we use horses and snowmobiles and things like that in the winter. And we would have people come out and stay in cottages, and we'd teach them. That was the vision. But I said, there's no way I'm going to just go out and do that. So I said, let's just start here and do a pilot project and start with this 10 acres, build a horse farm, see how we like it. Because Shelley had never done any horses. So that's what we did. We decided really quick that's not what we wanted to do, because it was way too much. And my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I love the horses, but it's way too much overall stuff. But I remember we bought this farm, and there's nothing there. It was woods and briars and all this stuff. And I went out there, and I was so overwhelmed. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was like, I was panicking almost. And I went out one morning, and I'm going, what am I going to do? And then I realized that we had bought this place with 2 horses on it. And these horses had been there a while, nobody taking care of the place. And there was piles of horse manure everywhere, right? And so I was just walking along, and I started kicking these piles of horse manure, just because when you kick them, if you've never done it, they dry and it just spreads, right? Well, the thing is, I started getting into doing that sort of thing, and then I got a rake and I started doing it that way, and I realized that not only was I knocking down these piles that people could walk in and stuff, but you are also fertilizing the grass when you're doing that, and you're also stopping the buildup of insects, flies and things that get on them. And so all of a sudden, I realized that I was doing something productive. And then while I was in that mode of doing something productive, I realized I was starting to think of, if I cleared that area right there, I could build a barn right there. And I could put a ring here, and I could put a riding area here. And before that day was out, I had the beginnings of how I was going to lay out the farm. And I went from overwhelm to an idea by kicking over piles of horse manure.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to the key. It's almost as if our brain is kind of like an antenna that can pick up signals and frequencies. And if we are in a place where our brain is picking up the wrong frequency, which is unmotivation and watching TV shows and all these things.
Bad friends.
We can't do anything. So the goal is to learn how to change the frequency, the channel of our antenna, to this mode of productivity. And you can change the frequency by doing things that are in resonance aligned with this frequency. So that's things that are productive. So if you want to be productive, you start small by making your bed. And by making your bed, you slowly begin to change the channel on your mind. And your mind starts to work differently. Your mind all of a sudden goes, oh, okay, well, I just made my bed. I feel good. Well, now what else need to do? Laundry. Okay, boom.
Pick up my clothes.
Right? And so it goes from it, and it changes into this other mode of frequency. And so then it comes back to this final thing of what do you want to be, or where do you want to go? And of course, the end goal might be a little bit too difficult. So the first thing is just what genuinely interests you? What fascinates you? What is something that you would like to do? And begin working towards that, whatever that is. Reading about it, learning about it, observing it, following other people, watching YouTube on it. And when you do that, you begin the process of changing your brain to this different channel. And you might realize that this thing you wanted to do is not the thing, but by learning that, you move to the next thing.
You're on your way.
You're on your way to finding out where you really need to be.
You're not scattered, you're on your way.
Yeah.
That's 2 points I want to make here before we close. One is, when you say frequency, I want to suggest that's a higher power.
Yes.
And whatever religious beliefs or anything anybody has, I would really recommend tapping into, there is a higher power.
Absolutely.
There is a higher power. And I think if I had to name one thing that has made a difference, the biggest thing that's made a difference in my life, and I had read about this and heard it for years before I finally accepted it was gratitude makes all the difference.
Oh my goodness.
So be grateful for every single thing, no matter what it is. Understand that being grateful brings everything else.
Yeah.
It is the foundation. So that's the first thing I would say. And being grateful for a higher power that allows you, whatever it is, whether it's pain or heartache or even a death of something, or a friend or a pet, it's there for a reason. And you find you can look for something and you can find whatever you want. You can find good things, you can find bad things. Find the good.
All the time.
Always find the good.
Always.
And the second thing is I feel, thinking back on our conversation, I feel like I've been directing it towards more like your audience.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of the people that watch this are from your audience. But we also have adults, I think, that watch. They're quiet. They don't talk much, but they're there. And so I want to say to those people, it may not be your bed that you're making in the morning, but it might be. But it might be something like who your friends are, or what you're eating, or what kind of exercise you're doing, or anything like that changes your direction. If you're not going where you want to go, then stop what you're doing and start something different. And I think just starting something different will help. I did spend last week, I did get Be Do Have up on Amazon.
Okay, the link's in the description.
So I changed it from this kind of book to a workbook because there's lots of ways. This tells you how to do what we're talking about. So if you're interested, go do that. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments.
Yep.
This is a kind of a test because our video editor is going to...
fancy angles and stuff.
Right, we got fancy angles, but he's also going to do some cinematics, and we'll see how he does.
Nice.
Let us know.
Thanks for watching, friends.
We appreciate it. Push that button and let your friends know. Bye.